Welcome to Otakus Geeks The Hour. Join Justin, Nadya, Sean, Jerrell, and guest panelists as they discuss the latest news, give reviews, and conduct interviews in all things entertainment. Without further ado, let's start the show.
All right, welcome to OtakusGeeks.com, and we are here today to give our reactions to James Gunn and Peter Safran, I think what his name is, to the DCU slate or Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. I'm gonna open up the floor. Well, first, let me just announce the titles, and then we'll go from there. So, James Gunn obviously announced the DCU slate with reboots such as Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, and more. So first, of course, we still have the old guard of the DCU still coming out in 2023, which is Shazam, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. He also announced Creature Commandos, which is an animation film. Waller, which is going to be continuing it's a spinoff of Peacemaker. We have a new Superman movie called Superman Legacy. He also announced a kind of True Detective type of vibe to Green Lantern called Lanterns, which will be on HBO. You have The Authority, which is a movie based off the Wildstar comics. Paradise Lost, which is a Wonder Woman's version of Game of Thrones, which is a prequel before Wonder Woman was even born, about the woman of Themyscira. And one of the big ones, which is Batman, the Brave and Bold, which will feature Damian Wayne. And of course, you had Booster Gold, which was announced, which will be an HBO Max series. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, which will be kind of the DC's version of True Grit. And then finally, Swamp Thing will be a horror movie. So those were the films announced. This is just partial of Chapter 1, not the full Chapter 1 that was announced. So I'm going to open up the floor. We can go bit by bit. Who wants to take it first and give their thoughts? You can choose any title or whatever. Free reign.
You should go first because a lot of these titles are things that you know a lot about. So,
all right. So for me, I would say if I had to choose the one I'm most excited about, believe it or not, is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Well, did you read the comic?
No, guy.
Did you read the comic?
No.
Okay. Okay. The comic's actually pretty decent. And I'm really curious to see where they're gonna adapt the miniseries with Tom King and see how that's gonna work. Obviously, I'm a horror fan, so Swamp Thing is probably my number one on the list, especially the way the show got completely shafted. So I want to see if they actually do bring back James Gunn, who did produce the DC Universe online or HBO Max series. Well, it wasn't on HBO Max, the DC Universe. See if they're gonna bring him back to see how they're gonna do Swamp Thing. I'm honestly I am happy about The Authority because I always wanted Midnighter to finally get his shine and the Wildstorm people to get their shine. So I'm curious to see how he's actually going to integrate them into the entire DCU. I will say that Creature Commando has to be the most left field announcement of all announcements. I was not expecting that. I knew James Gunn was going to go obscured with it, but I didn't think he was going to go this wow, Creature Commandos out of it. I'm a little Waller. I don't feel we need a series I love Viola Davis. I don't feel like we really need an entire series on Amanda Waller.
I mean, you can because Nick Fury has a series, so it's not like Amanda Waller is less than Nick Fury. I mean, to me, she's literally Nick Fury of the DC universe. Like, she commands everything she does. She knows all the secrets. So I can see a Waller series coming out because she's loved by everybody. So
I mean, I love Viola. I just don't. Well, I have to see what type of storyline they're going to go with. Are they even going to do the ones based off the comics? As far as Superman Legacy, this one I'm kind of torn on, and that's mainly because the Cavill fan in me is like, I just want Henry Cavill. But the fact that James Gunn revealed it today that he's been mostly this is going to be inspired by All-Star Superman. Obviously, he's not going to take this is going to be a younger Superman, so obviously he's not going to be taking that the Superman is dying aspect. Hopefully not, because that'll be a little weird to kill this guy dealing with death before he even begins his Superman journey. But he's obviously taking more of the philosophical Superman, the hopeful Superman from those stories that you get from All-Star Superman, and obviously integrate that into whatever he is writing. Batman the Brave and the Bold. I mean, I was talking to a lot of people about this one, and it's actually 50-50 with a lot of people, mainly because everybody wants, obviously, Dick Grayson as Robin. I actually kind of like the fact Damian's getting his shine. And this actually gives us the Bat family already established. That way we don't have to worry about a Batman that has to go through all these Robins to get to, the Titans, Nightwing, and all and hopefully this will lead to more stuff. But I'm happy about to see Damian Wayne. I just hope, like I was telling Sean the other day, if they're doing these kid characters, they got to film this stuff back to back because these kids are going to get old and fast. I mean, we've seen that with Stranger Things. We've seen that with the Shazam kids. Like, Shazam should have been filmed back to back because now look at them. Like, they're practically
like he's Shazam
18,
now.
Huh? Yeah,
he's Shazam now.
yeah, like he could play Shazam at this point, and it's like you gotta kind of film certain things back to back to kind of keep them in that kid aesthetics, unless you explain like a time jump. But it's like, even with the new Fury of the Gods, I'm gonna be watching it. Don't have that same, doesn't have that same child, feel because these kids are damn teenagers now. So it's kind of like it kind of takes you out of it. Another title I'll talk about before I pass it on. Obviously, I'm a huge Green Lantern fan, so I'm excited, but also the fact that it's a true detective type of Lantern thing kind of is like a little confusing to me. Like, I get it that he wants to do like the Lanterns are cops and stuff like that, but I'm just like, true detectives, the inspiration for it. Wouldn't it be something like Star Wars, Star Trek, or something like more action sci-fi based? So, I mean, granted, Lantern did have detective elements from time to time, but I'm curious to see with all the, because they mentioned all the inspirations. So I'm kind of curious, like, why a lot of the inspirations, number one, is HBO shows, number one, and two, how are you going to integrate these? Are you really are we just taking the best of HBO and just putting a DC spin on it? That's my curiosity about it. But those are my thoughts. I'm excited, but I'm still skeptical about a lot of things, and we'll have to see. It's a wait and see for me till I'll see obviously some clips. I usually don't get hyped up about titles and stuff like that. I need to see clips, logos, images, casting, so I know who's playing who. But also the Batman Part 2, obviously, of course, it's gonna be good. So hopefully we get Mr. Freeze. So we'll see. So anyone else want to go? You can go. I said my piece.
I kind of wanted us to do like a full breakdown because I feel like there's like a lot to digest. I don't know. Do you want to go, Jerrell, or?
No, I'm gonna explode. I mean, it would help if we did talk about it like one project at a time.
Yeah, because
like
there's a lot that I have kind of like outlined.
If we talk about the entire thing as a whole, I'm gonna explode. I'm gonna leave a lot of stuff out.
Okay, so Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
Well, more in the sense of more of Gunn's projects.
Okay, so we can skip everything that's coming out this year. So Creatures Commandos, the animation show.
It's like a war-centric 80s comic. So it's kind of like, where are they going with that?
I mean, he needs to, if projects that he's doing going forward are inspired by other TV shows, he needs to stop telling us that, because like I never watched True Detective, so him telling me that is meaningless. And then you can't say in a conversation like, oh, I'm going to deliver original content. No, you just said it's going to be like True Detective. So like, it's not like, he has to keep that stuff to himself. And he basically told us, he was like, look, we're going to finish out the old universe, and then the new universe is going to start with this. If you're starting a new universe, you don't start with Creature Commandos. But like you said before, that's his way of thinking, like taking something obscure and like, oh, I'm going to make this popular. That's not what people want to see right out the gate. Like, nobody wants to see Creature Commandos. I mean, it could be good, but like even Booster Gold, I like Booster Gold. I'm interested in Booster Gold. But if James Gunn is telling me like, hey, I'm going to start over and everything's going to be together, it's going to be one big platform, one big universe, you don't start with Booster Gold. That's not a good starting point. Superman, is he going to be a young Superman? Because he said everything is going to be integrated, everything's going to be together, and you just told me you're doing Damian Wayne Robin. If you're doing Damian Wayne Robin, I'm assuming that's not a 20-something-year-old Bruce Wayne. And we now have 7 Bat family members that just got kicked to the side. So if Damian Wayne shows up in Wayne Manor, I need to see a Nightwing, I need to see a Jason Todd, I got to see a Batgirl, I got to see a Tim Drake, and I got to see a Kate Kane Batwoman. Because we just can't, because if he tries to act like Damian Wayne was the first Robin, I'm gonna have a problem. And now Bruce Wayne is a grown adult, he has a child. So are we assuming if Damian Wayne's in the mix, he's in his 40s? Like, is it safe to assume Batman is somewhere in his 40s now if he has a child?
It might still be Ben Affleck. Who knows?
But where does a young ass Superman fit in that? You know, like it's not like that. That's not
Flashpoint.
Like, no. But it's not going to be, if their ages aren't similar, it's not going to be the same. Because now you got some old ass grumpy Batman trying to tell some young ass Superman like how to be a hero. The two of them are supposed to be like on equal playing field. Batman's not supposed to be his mentor. So that didn't make sense to me. Like, that's kind of off for me. And then with I'm sorry, I love the Supergirl TV show. The Supergirl TV show, Melissa Benoist, she was hope, she was justice, and all this other. I don't want to see a depressed Supergirl on a floating rock.
I do.
Like, I'm not interested in that. Like, again, I mean, I reserve judgment till I actually see it. But even the image that they showed in the comic book, and then again, and this is biased because I'm not used to seeing like an emo depressed Supergirl. Because he's just like, oh,
you need to read more Supergirl.
I don't think it's gonna be.
I don't like the
You need to read more Supergirl.
I mean, but
Supergirl has always been a little bit of an attitude, pissed off, especially when she first came. She was not the hopeful. Like, if you even see the new Legion of Superheroes, they did her right. In the first 20 minutes of her trying to adapt to Earth and everything else. Supergirl is.
But then, how does that tie in to a young Superman? Because
we don't know the timelines.
Like although she's
remember, he hasn't announced everything yet.
Huh? But
remember,
he said everything was going to be But he said everything was going to be together.
Yes, but we don't know. He never stated what this is. Just because they are all together doesn't mean that something's not Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3. He never.
They also said that Supergirl is going to be released 2 years after Superman Legacy.
Yeah.
And she's like 14-ish when she leaves like her like land, whatever that drifted off of Krypton. Mm-hmm. She's like 14. So whenever she gets here, she could still be a teenager. They could still be starting with her young. So Clark could still kind of be young.
How much younger? How much younger is she going to be than Clark?
Well, you have to think of how much younger is. Okay, so from any of the timeline comics, even Superman, Apocalypse, the comic books and everything else, Kara is kind of significantly younger than Superman because you have to remember time went different for it because Clark was on Earth.
She's older than him, but younger at the same time. Yeah,
she's older than him by Krypton standards, but still younger than him because by the time, because even in Batman, Superman, Apocalypse, when Batman does a scan of her body, he says that she's younger and her body absorbs the yellow sun and everything else better than he does. And apparently at this point, the way I think they're putting it is like, okay, so let's say like an age difference, Clark is like 30, let's say 30. I want to keep them relatively young. Clark and Superman are probably about 38, 39. Kara's in her 20s. So it was a time difference. I think she was a little frozen in time before she gets to Earth. So by the time she gets down there, she's still younger. If she had gotten there the same time as Clark when they sent her off, she would definitely be the older cousin, and she would have been mentoring him, and he would be older. So I guess that's what they're taking it from.
14?
That's the best explanation I can give, speculating on how they're gonna keep the age difference. And I don't even know if age is an issue. What he's playing
with Kryptonians. Yeah.
I don't even know if he's doing an age thing. So, and you also have to remember when you said, hey, Batman is 40, you also have to remember if he's doing anything inspired by the comic book, after the whole entire Bane storyline, Batman was put in a Lazarus pit. And at the time when it did write that story, they say it de-aged him a lot. So putting that in perspective, I don't know if he's going to do that. That's just speculation. Like, I don't know if he's going to do
it
that.
seems like a lot to go through.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's, like we can throw out we can speculate about a lot of things. We don't know what they're going to do. The only thing we can do is wait and see what he has planned for it, because we don't know what he has planned.
Yeah, but, I mean, his whole thing for me was like 50-50. He would say one thing, I'm like, oh, Green Lantern, that's good. And then he would name something else, and I'm like, oh, that's bad. And then at the end, when he brought up Swamp Thing, and I take the Swamp Thing very personal. He was just like, we're going to do Swamp Thing, and he's going to somehow like figure into the overall plan. And I'm just like, what do you mean he's going to somehow figure into you just said you were doing like Gods and Monsters, or you're doing like Creature Commandos. Like, why is he not in that? Like, instead of taking 7 random people that nobody knows.
Well, Weasel is in Creatures and Commandos. Rick Flag Sr., which is Rick Flag's father. Nina, sorry for my botching. Nina Masterscribe, Dr. Phosphorus, Eric Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein, and GI Robot. Though that's the crew.
I didn't care. Like, I didn't care. Like, when he said that, I felt.
I mean, that one's also an animated series, so I don't have to take it.
Well,
literally.
those anime people will be live action. As well. It's the same thing what they did with it. Well, the same thing, not to bring Marvel into the same thing what they did with If. They cast the people for animation, and some of them will be doing the live action. So
no, he said everybody. The same thing. He said it's going to be. I mean, first of all, the CW already did it where they had the same live action
with Vixen,
people.
yes,
yeah, with Vixen. So he literally said we're going to keep it together. So the same person who plays them live action is also going to play them in the anime, because the anime is going to be a part of whatever plan he has in store too.
Which I think animation should just be completely separate, or just Elseworld, but that's just me.
Yeah, because I'm not taking it literal, like too literal.
Yeah,
that's how I meant. I mean, but it separates importance, because then it's just like if you choose to do some things animated and some things live action, it's just like, why was it not that important enough to do live action? And
or budget too.
See, but like
I mean,
that's why
he also mentioned games too, but he mentioned not one game yet. So
I can't see
the Suicide Squad game. Probably might.
Yeah. That's probably Elseworld though.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide.
Because that's Rocksteady. I doubt they're gonna force them to do anything DCU.
Yeah, I can't see them doing like Creature Commandos live action, only because if you think about the budget and the money, some things might be CGI suits. And like it's probably a big undertaking. I do know that DC does, when it comes to stuff like that, they do a lot better putting it as animation, because it sells out better if you do something like that, especially something is obscure, because just like you're not into it, but every kid in the world will probably just be into just to see it because it's a cartoon. And probably, it'll probably work out. I don't know. I'd have to see it. I may watch it and be like, oh, this is fire. Like,
yeah, you might, that's the thing. It might be, but I just came out of it more confused than I felt like reassured. It was like I was both like reassured and confused at the same time. And certain things just didn't make sense to me. I mean, I wanted I wanted an Amazon thing for a long time, but I ain't want to take that shit back in time. Like, we ain't gotta go that far back. And then it's like, where does that fit into his overall plan? because he kept trying to sell. Because the one thing he kept slyly trying to point out was like, "Hey, everybody! Unlike the last regime, I have a plan." And I'm like, just because you have a plan doesn't mean it's gonna make sense.
Well, like I said, he likes the obscure characters, and I mean, we'll have to see. Does anyone else have a comment on Creature Commander before we move on to the next announcement?
I think everybody's done with Creature Commander because I don't think it's anything we like anybody cares about. I don't.
We drifted off.
Yeah, like because I think it was more of Jerrell's rant.
Yeah.
But that's it.
All right, so we have next one is Waller, which continues the Peacemaker story, as I said, and this will reprise the role of Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, and this time in her own it's going to be on HBO Max from the creators of Peacemaker, and this will have her teaming up with We'll see her team up with Team Peacemaker for a mission that is, as according to James Gunn, out of this world. So we might be more alien invasions for this one. I'm not sure how they're gonna go with it. I know at the end of Peacemaker, she was outed by her daughter. So we'll see how that's gonna actually play a role in this.
The Doom Patrol creator is also partnering with the Watchmen writer for Waller. So I'm curious with that because I thought Watchmen was phenomenal.
Now, is it Watchmen the movie or the
TV series?
Series? Then yeah, either one would still be.
Yeah, either one would still be great. And they said that it's gonna be a follow up to Peacemaker, and that Peacemaker and Suicide Squad are still canon, even after the Flash reset. So I guess that's his.
He shouldn't have spoiled that either. I didn't like when he was just like, "Oh, the Flash is gonna reset everything." I was like, "Well, thanks for spoiling that." But...
Well, I don't think he spoiled anything because if he's doing Flashpoint, I mean, it's common knowledge that Flashpoint is a reset. He goes back, he goes to an alternate universe where everything's a little like where his mom is alive, but everything's topsy-turvy. And when he comes back,
he tries to reset.
I mean, that's how the new 52 started. Like Flashpoint happened, they decided to, for the 10th time, they decided to reboot the comic book. And it's not uncommon because like both comic book companies do reboots all the time. They just have a major event and then they reboot everybody. It's just the DC decided that one was the new 52 where they kind of like changed up the characters a little bit. And, I guess that was their first reboot. So them saying Flashpoint to me was already implied that this was going to be a reboot because it's Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's getting new people to write it because we said in the last when we did the last podcast that he can't write everything. So the fact that
he's already writing Superman and the Authority. So
he said he was in the middle of writing the Superman, but
and he's going to work on the Authority because that's his passion project. So
I mean, it's weird. Like I have more faith in the projects that he's allowing like other people who have like a background in doing this shit, like trust in them. And I think that's the best thing he can do going forward is like you used to write the Doom Patrol. Okay, do this. You have credibility because he can't sit there and write everything because then it's gonna be all too obscure. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with
Waller.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate. Like I said, he said a lot of good things, but he said a lot of things that was just making me like pull my hair out. But I knew that was gonna happen because it's James Gunn. And then it's like, how does he decide? It's like, how does he decide who stays and who gets to go? Because then I would have to assume he's keeping Margot Robbie. Because he directed the damn Suicide Squad, so he would bring back Idris Elba. He would bring back whoever survived that. It's a good idea.
He's going to keep his people.
Yeah, it's obviously going to keep his people because I mean, keeping Viola Davis is a good idea. Even if he reset the whole thing, you still keep Viola Davis.
Yeah,
yeah,
that one I agree with.
Yeah,
agreed.
Like, even if it's a brand new world, like you gotta keep her. So I'm actually, the thing with I'm interested to see her in action because maybe now that her daughter outed her and like her whole thing is like blowing up now, maybe we can get Project Cadmus, as her backup plan. So I like John Cena. I like John Cena as Peacemaker, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, but Suicide Squad is basically Project Cadmus. They just call it a bunch of different names. It's still just
like
the Suicide
Cadmus,
Squad.
Argus.
Yeah, they're all just still the Suicide Squad. They just, depending on what they have the rights to say, like they just do whatever. I think at the time on CW, they didn't have the right to call it the Suicide Squad, so they had to call it, one of the other.
Task Force X.
Yeah, Task Force X.
Task Force
Yeah.
X.
Even then, that's funny to me because they shouldn't even have the right. If you can't say Suicide Squad, you shouldn't even have the right to call it Task Force X because that's originally in the comic book what they called it. Yeah. It was the team that called themselves the Suicide Squad because they knew, every mission was damn near who the fuck is coming back alive.
Yeah. So I'm down with that because Viola Davis, like her Amanda Waller character, always got like a dirty trick up her sleeve. So I'm probably excited about that more than like anything else.
All right.
I just gotta wait for Creature Commandos first.
What's next?
Okay. So next up will be the big one, which is Superman Legacy, which is going to see a brand new Superman, not Henry Cavill. And this is going to be, as I stated earlier, this will be inspired by All-Star Superman, or at least taking elements of Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. A lot of Grant Morrison fingerprints is over this DCU, which is good and could be good and could be bad too, depending on how you view Grant Morrison's work.
I don't think it's a bad thing because he had probably one of the best runs in DC, like with all the stuff that he put out. So I don't see anything you're pulling out from Grant Morrison being terrible or you can't get it. I think casual fans won't understand Grant Morrison, but I think anybody who's read any of the comic books will be happy and fine with everything going on with Grant Morrison. I mean, I don't see why not. If you're gonna do Superman Legacy and you're doing like All-Star Superman, why not have Grant elements coming from Grant Morrison? Because he had a good fix on it. It's kind of like if they told me they were doing like if he said I have Jim Lee writing the new Batman series, I would be excited because Jim Lee had a great run with Batman by himself and everything in there. So I would be highly excited for Jim Lee to do a Batman series. If James Gunn's plan is to get the most popular comic book writers to either give input or put into any of the stories or take elements and basically say, well, this is all going to be inspired by Grant Morrison, Jim Lee. Who else can I say that had a great run on everything? Jeff Johns, with Green Lantern. If you're pulling that from there, then I can see everything being a success because they made the comic books popular. Each one of their runs really made that comic book popular for its time. And I don't see any reason why he shouldn't, because you need something.
It's not him though, because now we're going back to the studio, because that was the studio problem before. They were bringing in these writers and directors, and then they wanted to have their hand in the cookie jar.
I think that's the new thing.
These people in, they need to let them do it.
No, but I think that's the new thing that the studio now has to have their hands on. I think it's in Gunn's contract that basically Discovery can't come stick in their hand. Oh, we want this or this, and I don't even think it's Warner Brothers Studio anymore because somebody. Well, I'll get that when I tell my rant about what's going on. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, this is the blame for this." No, it's Discovery that really chopped off a lot of stuff that was supposed to be coming out. So I think he put it in there like, hey, I don't want you to have your hand in any of this. I want to make this universe better than how it was before. I want consistency. I want it to be exciting. I want to bring the same magic that people are excited to see anything. We'll have our standalones, but we're also going to have a cohesive DCU. Hopefully it works out because a lot of the stuff we're speculating on 3 years away before anything. We're gonna get like the end of the old guard in the next like year or so, like less than a year. But the new stuff that we're excited about, probably 2026 we'll start to see what the new stuff is. So hopefully,
Did we say Superman was coming out in 2024?
Yeah, July 2025.
2025.
Yeah. So obviously that's a weird year. Oh no, that's not weird because you know what? It's crazy. I'm thinking we're in 2024, right? But no, he's not. Yeah, 2025 is a good. So still, even that's 2 years away, and I'm hoping that him saying July 2025 is because they were already in the process of writing the new Superman, and now because once you're done writing it, the script is approved. Now we have to cast. So the next speculation will be who are we going to cast as the new Superman? Who are we gonna bring in? Who's gonna be Lois? Who's gonna be, is Lex? Because All-Star Superman had Lex in it. Who's gonna be Lex? Who's gonna be this? How are we gonna take it? So they have a lot to pull out. I think whoever fills Superman's shoes is gonna have a lot to fill with Henry Cavill because all people are gonna see when they see Superman is if he's not good or he is not at the top, because you're not going to strike, like think about the backlash everybody got when Edward Norton wasn't coming back as the Hulk. Like, if he doesn't pull off a performance that makes everybody forget about Cavill, but like go, okay, I can see where
you got to accept the new guy.
Yeah, if he doesn't do anything to make everybody accept it, you're gonna hear is, why didn't you put Henry Cavill in that role? Why did you let him go? Like you'll be back to square one with people like trashing it and they're saying what? I think it's the same thing, even though they're doing the Themyscira movie, it's gonna be the same thing where like Gal Gadot went through a lot of shit. First she was clowned for, why did you make her Wonder Woman? To she's beloved as Wonder Woman. So whoever you pick to take the reins for her, you're gonna have the same problem,
because she has to be involved. Like you can't do a Themyscira project and just completely like not have Wonder Woman, even if she's a kid. Like Wonder Woman has to be showcased in this thing at some point. Like even if you show Zeus making her out of clay, and that's how the series ends with Wonder Woman being born, like she has to be plugged in there somewhere.
Yeah, her being clay is not a problem.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think it's what's going on. I don't know, Nadia, you've been quiet about most of this. What do you think about some of this? Because
I'm so butthurt over Cavill, but I understand. I get it. I'm one of those people that I understand it. I'm heartbroken, but I get it. There hasn't been a director attached yet, but Gunn and Safran already revealed that it's not going to be another like origin story. It's gonna kind of deal with I think a little more of him being on Earth and like dealing with his like Kryptonian past, and kind of the way I see it is like I mentioned last time that Cavill's was very dark, but it's also because that added context to him becoming Superman. I think he had to kill Zod in order to become that symbol of hope. He had to get so dark that it took him to a new place. But with this movie, my only concern is that they don't go on the opposite end of the spectrum, like Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. He wasn't terrible, Brandon Routh, but it was a terrible movie. So I'm just hoping that they don't go too far to the other side of the spectrum and get too campy now, because Superman, he's one of those characters where he can be boring or he can be phenomenal. So it's kind of like, don't make him too campy, like I'm Superman and the red
smile,
the red undies,
hands on his hips, like haha.
Yeah, like ooh, it's like we got to make him modern. We're in 2023. We got to make him modern, and I think Zack Snyder did an amazing job of giving us a modern take on Superman. So I'm hoping with this, it'll be somewhere in the middle. He can be like the Man of Steel, but also be a symbol of hope. Because me and my boyfriend always joke about this. Like, even though we love Cavill, like he was not inspiring. So it's like, even though that's like probably one of my favorite comic movies ever, he did not instill hope. So I'm hoping, like I said, this will be in the middle. That's my main thing. And casting wise, I really have no idea yet. Because back to the whole continuity thing, like, are we gonna get like Superman and Lois and Superboy? If we're getting Damian Wayne, then he can't be like a 25-year-old Superman.
Yeah, so, especially if it's a possible soft reboot. If he's keeping still some stuff from the DCU, like most likely he's still keeping Shazam. Most likely he's still keeping Ezra Miller. So it's kind of like, I mean, we all know he's keeping Viola Davis. So it's kind of like
keep the Flash movie, kill off Crazy Guy, bring Grant Gustin and start over.
I think Ezra Miller has a gun to his head. Ezra's like, yo, you get rid of me, I'm gonna be at your house.
I'm gonna come after your kids.
We'll get to the CW in a second, but I don't know. Honestly, when it comes to Superman specifically, because for the love of God, I was named after Superman's daddy. Like, I'm in the camp where you have to sell me on this. So when he made certain announcements, whether I was negative about it or whether I was positive about it, I felt something. I felt something either way. When he mentioned the Superman thing, I was just like, because I'm like, no, like, you're not going to get anger. You're not going to get excitement. I'm going to watch this, and then I'm going to decide if I like he needs to, because like you said, like I'm in the Henry Cavill camp too. So now, if you want me to accept this, I'm not accepting anything until the product. Like, I don't care what he says. Like, I don't care what he says going forward, but I just need to see it at this point. But one thing he did say, and for all of us Arrowverse fans, the Arrowverse might still have a heartbeat, because he promised that Superman and Lois was going to get more seasons after season 3.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so that might be the only show we get left. So the entire Arrowverse will exist through Superman and Lois.
So that might be just Elseworld considered then.
At least said everything was Elseworld, but
that show with an HBO budget.
Well, they also said that when the Flash and Superman and Lois starts this season, it's not going to be on the CW. So I think both of them are going to be on HBO Max. But somebody in that studio told James Gunn, like, no, we're keeping this Superman and Lois shit. You know, but he did post that on like social media. He said that Superman and Lois will get more seasons after this one is over. And
it'd be so nice if the Flash had an HBO budget.
I guess this last season. When does the last season start? It starts
February 8th.
I thought all of them ended already. How many times?
No, like the Flash, they said this was the last season. Yes. Arrow, ended like a couple of years ago.
Superman and Lois and the Flash are the 2 shows that are left.
Yeah, because Legends of Tomorrow, they just gave them a quick ending for all the other shows.
And they introduced Booster Gold in their season finale, and like that was it. But
what's his name?
The dude, the doctor dude.
Donald Faison.
Yeah, he played he played Booster Gold in Legends and on the Flash, because he was in a brief cameo. But those are the only 2 shows that are left. And then the Flash isn't going to continue, because after 9 seasons, it's like, bro, how much more do you want? But
I mean, they could, but there really isn't anything left.
Yeah, I mean, even I can say, like, I love the Flash, but 9 seasons, like, nah.
I don't even know it lasted that long. That's Walking Dead territory.
Yeah, like it beat out Arrow, because Arrow ended with 8. I mean, like, Grant Gustin can make an appearance on Superman and Lois. I'll be fine with that.
Well, I guess I'll go with what I was gonna say about it. When I heard the announcements, I was like, you know what, this looks good. I saw the titles that he came out with, and I was like, okay, The Authority is a good obscure title to come out with, because a lot of people don't know about it. And then also, I'm interested to see how many people are going to overlook, because they always say representation. The LGBTQ community has no representation. Well, you have Midnighter now, so, and it's organic. It's not. They're not taking a character that people know and changing his or her orientation. You actually have a character that's extremely popular in the comic book series, and he's a gay character, and I want to see how people are going to handle that, because it's something that people are just like, oh well, we don't get this, we don't get that. But even coming to that representation, one of the things I was like, President Holt's excluded, because at least the 2 of you never came out with this, like, crazy rant about everything. Jerrell said, hey, like, I was asking for a different cook in the kitchen. I'm just going to see what he does. Nadya was like, yeah, we need to make a change, but I wasn't happy with the change of changing the characters I love. But when I say this, minute and a half rant, this goes to the DC bandwagon riders. This goes to half the Marvel haters out there. This goes to everything else. All of y'all full of shit. All right? And I'm gonna take a page from Frankie. All of y'all full of shit. You know why they full of shit? Before James Gunn came out with everything, there was a month-long hashtag Fire James Gunn thing.
Yes, there was. Yes, really there was.
There were memes out there about him being the anti-Monitor. There were like everything, like you still Cavill, somebody like people were like making death threats. You know what I'm saying? Like there were even things like every DC character on there should just go over to Marvel and make like completely destroy DC. And I was like, that's kind of harsh considering just wait to see what happens. Like we don't know whether it's going to be good or bad. And still people, people up there like, oh, you're just smiling because it's Marvel thing. I'm like, no, I'm a comic book fan. I want to see great stories from DC because, you always want something to go to. And when I go to a comic book store, I pick up DC and Marvel books alike. I'm one of the few people that'll tell you I have the entire Blackest Night series. I collected all 102 comic books. I spent almost $300 something, like picking up even obscure stories just because it was in the Blackest Night series. And people screamed it. And then all of a sudden he makes an announcement about a bunch of titles that are excellent. And all of a sudden everybody is forget about Zack Snyder, forget about James Gunn is our god. Now everybody's on their knees ready to drink James Gunn juice, just to
it's the like, Gunverse now, baby.
Like I've heard no more bring back the Snyderverse. I've heard no more none of this. And I'm like, only the true like DC fans hung in there with them. But some of y'all are just fake barren, and then now they're back to it's over for Marvel. And I want to see James Gunn do the best thing to bring us the best stories. I'm excited about Batman and Brave and the Bold because I know Jerrell's like, oh, I don't, a new Damian Wayne. That was a great arc with Damian coming out.
It's not that he's using Damian Wayne. It's like he skipped the line.
But the thing is,
like that's what's it's like you're canceling Titans and you skipping the line with Damian Wayne.
But here's the thing: one,
you got an old ass.
You're not. He didn't skip Titans. Titans was from the articles I've read, Titans was canceled way back when the guy took over Discovery. He had already put the axe down for Titans and Doom Patrol way before Gunn got there. He was like, these are over this season. So and from what I've heard, James Gunn tried to save them. But they were like, no, it's
canceled over. Pennyworth, damn it.
Yeah, but
they did cancel it.
Yeah, they had canceled everything out. But the thing is, what makes it about the reason why I say like I get what you're saying, but you have to understand we are at the age where Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, and Tim Drake were really the only and what's her name? What's the blonde Robin's name? I keep forgetting her name.
The girl, you mean?
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting her name.
Carrie, right?
Yeah, those were the only
Robins. Orange.
Yeah, they were the only Robins we knew at the time. Of course, Dick Grayson was numero uno. And you have to understand, this is now 2023. Think of the younger generation that's out there. They only know Damian Wayne.
Damian's popular in the comics now too.
Yeah. He's the only
Super Sons.
Yeah, and everybody has. I mean, to be honest with you, Super Sons probably the comic book itself revamped everybody's love of like Batman, Superman because now it's the younger generation. That was an excellent comic book to start off with him and.
I'm like I said before, I'm fine with it as long as we don't pretend like the previous 7 people didn't exist.
The thing is, you're saying pretend like they don't exist. I don't think he has a thing of pretending that they don't exist because you don't know if he's going to bring out something with Nightwing on their own.
Yeah, I don't.
Or something with everything else. I don't think it's pretending. I think he's going with the times. I mean, think about 10 years from now. Is Damian Wayne will probably be in the mantle of Batman, and like that. The one thing about the Grant Morrison thing was, like he's starting it out at this. After he did that, you got to remember. I think Final Crisis happens. Batman is killed by Darkseid. Nobody knows where he's at, and then you have Battle for the Cowl, and then Dick Grayson finally comes to grips with that he is the heir apparent. And he ends up taking over the Batman mantle, and it's him and Damian running around.
Yep, I was literally going to say Morrison right here.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at in the background of your thing. Like it's him and Damian Wayne, and him and Damian Wayne go into Blackest Night. So like people are sitting back saying like you have to remember there's a certain point where Batman was missing for a long time, and Dick Grayson did a beyond excellent job of taking over the mantle of Batman because it was what he was supposed to do. You know, was what he was being trained for. So I don't think he's going to forget. I think he's going to start the entire series where he's going to show you the relationship between him and his son. And you're probably gonna have pop-ups of Nightwing, which
I'll be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, I'd rather him have pop-ups of Nightwing. I'd love to see a pop-up of Tim Drake as Red Robin. Yeah. I would love to see everybody else pop in, but you have to start it off with it's him and Damian. So, you know, it goes in through that, and then when it comes to Superman Legacy, I'm happy to see them starting over. I agree with everybody. I want to see what you're going to do. And it should be an age timeline. Are we going to leave Superman and Batman in, like, let's say their mid-30s? Let's say the timeline of it is their mid-30s. He's still old enough to be Damian's dad. Yep. And Superman is still old enough to have a child, and Lois and everybody, and is still seasoned enough to have been fighting crime and doing everything they did. And they're on equal footing. Swamp Thing, I'm happy they're going back to the horror element of it, because I mean, even in the comic book, Swamp Thing was a horror, like more of a horror comic book. It's good to see them go back to that. I think the HBO Max show, or like the DC show that they did, kept with that, and I was sad to see it go. And I hope
that's sad because that shit was so good.
Yeah, I hope he brings that back. I will agree with Justin. I'm not happy about the Green Lantern show being like a true detective thing, only because I think he's picking the wrong genre for that. Justin said this, and I agree with this completely. If he's going to do a true detective thing, it should be The Question that he does that.
Yeah. But that's just something you should keep to. You don't tell us you.
He could tell us, but I think he should keep it to The Question, and Green Lantern should be more like intergalactic thing. Yeah, and bring it that, because if you're bringing it to Earth, there's only 4 Green Lanterns on Earth, and are you going to introduce all 4 Green Lanterns just to come in? So you're going to introduce Hal, and then you're going to have John Stewart, Guy Gardner, and Kyle Rayner all on the same. They're never, even in the comic books, they're never on Earth together.
Somebody always replaces the other. I'm just happy we're getting a Green Lantern something.
You know,
and so when he announced that, I was like, "Yay, thumbs up! Finally, someone's doing some Green Lantern shit."
But are you going to be happy if he skips everything and maybe
I'll worry about that later. I'm just glad we're finally getting Green Lantern shit. Somebody finally put their stamp on saying, "Yes, we're doing a Green Lantern project."
But I'm not happy with it, because you spent all this time making Martin Luther fucking John Stewart, and then you completely skip him, and you're gonna bring out a Green Lantern series, and it could end up being Hal Jordan, you know, because
it's gonna be Hal Jordan.
I think it's Hal and John.
Yeah, you know,
he said it was Hal and John.
Yeah, I think they said it's Hal and John.
Yeah, well, hopefully they get if they get David Ramsey for it, then it all makes sense.
Yeah.
But if it's Hal and John, then Hal has to already have been a Green Lantern, and you would assume John's the new guy.
Yeah, so you have that in there, and then with Wonder Woman, with Themyscira, you bring in like a Game of Thrones.
And he pronounced it wrong.
I can deal with that, because sometimes it's always good to see where everything starts. Seeing an entire tribe of Amazons running around. The Game of Thrones theme, I like it, but I don't like it, because I'm pretty sure everybody on this panel has watched Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones isn't exactly like togetherness in that. Like, somebody's always scheming on somebody. So to bring that out, to show Themyscira not having that kind of unity, I don't know what it is. I can understand the elements of it, but I'm gonna have to wait to see how that turns out. It could be one of the best shows they're bringing out to have it there. I do want to know what was the inspiration for it, where you're going with it, and are you going to bring back, if you are doing a soft reboot, are you going to bring back everybody who played the characters from the Wonder Woman movie to Robin Penn, everybody else to come in there and do it, and how young are you taking it back, and let's see where that goes. I think I covered almost every Booster Gold. I'm fine with it. You can do whatever you want with Booster Gold, only because it's like I don't think you can go wrong as long as you don't make Booster Gold but so serious. I don't think you can fuck that up too much if unless you make it like ultra serious. Booster Gold could be what it is, and I'm happy with what he's doing. I just hope he doesn't get too overzealous, too obscure with his stuff, and keep it on a timeline that gives us something to go watch and not say like we're gonna get. There's a thing that is true. We could end up getting superhero fatigue, and I hope that DCU doesn't come out as everybody's going through superhero fatigue, because what he has lined up could potentially be like a great run for the DCU. It could really like bring everybody back, show people what DC should have been years ago, or it could be another faceplant disaster. I don't know. I have hope for it. I was excited for a lot of the stuff he
get
bought.
A Condiment King movie announcement, and now we're like, what the hell is this guy doing?
Yeah, like I was excited for it. My only rip for it was that fuck all the fat casual fans with their bullshit. Like all of a sudden he's the greatest thing in the world, which I was calling for his head not even a couple of weeks ago. We have to have that wait and see attitude. Let's see what he does. I think he made a great start. I think he came out there guns blazing and saying like, hey, I heard you guys as fans. One thing, a favorite YouTuber I watch, CT, said, one thing he likes about James Gunn, other than what the former regime did, was that he talks to the fans. He'll tell you every day on Twitter what he's thinking, what he's going to do. And I think that's a good thing, because I think he likes the feedback from everybody. I think that's something, Jerrell, if you want to do, get on Twitter, follow James Gunn and be like, yo, fuck, what you thinking? You know what I'm saying? And I think he'll understand, like where your feet, and you might influence something that he's saying. I'm interested in it. There's not a lot I can say for it, because like I said, when we had our group chats, I don't jump to anything or like to say anything, because everything is going to be speculation. I can tell you now definitively, I love the titles that he's coming out with, especially Batman, Superman, Superwoman, Themyscira, Booster Gold. I like all that's coming out. I'm actually really excited to see where it is, and I'll take any news that they're going to give us as previews to what's going on.
You know what does suck though? I guess we're not getting the Zatanna series or the Static thing anymore.
I don't.
Well, keep in mind that he said this isn't the full chapter 1.
And
this
him bringing in Wildstorm, I feel like he'll probably get into Static.
Yeah, this is just enough so people can stop tweeting him and bothering him and pestering him.
And Elseworlds, definitely Zatanna and Constantine at some point.
Because Zatanna was supposed to be a part of the old, like the previous regime of films. Like they had it, because we were supposed to get Blue Beetle, Zatanna, Static, and we were supposed to get one other person. And
well, I think the Zatanna thing might be on hold only because you're gonna have 2 competing Constantines, because everybody is still asking for the
Keanu Reeves.
No, everybody's asking for
Matt Ryan.
His name.
They're both good.
Yeah, like they keep asking for him to be in the DCU universe as Constantine, but Keanu Reeves they've already greenlit Constantine 2, to come out. So he's already working. I think it's already been written. They're getting ready for film production on Constantine 2, which everybody's excited about that. So unless Keanu Reeves decides that he wants to be part of the DCU, I think that Constantine will be like Matt Reeves' Batman. That'll be an Elseworld Constantine.
But contractually, I don't think Constantine was under DC. Who was it under? The movie.
Keanu Reeves movie?
Yeah, I don't think.
I think that's New Line Cinema, but that's owned by Warner.
No, I don't think. I don't think it's New Line Cinema. It was something else.
Yeah, I don't think it was connected at the time.
Yeah, but it's all still owned by, because Warner Brothers bought everybody out. So, but he did announce all of this before James Gunn came and before the Discovery merger. So that's I think most of that is greenlit because Keanu Reeves has his hand. I think
Keanu's not to cut you off. Keanu was Warner Brothers. Yeah, I just looked it up.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, it's Warner Brothers.
So I think if he decides to go in there, it's not bad. I'm gonna kind of miss my boy, I was pissed when that series went off the air. Like, come on. Like, if
we
any
need Matt Ryan.
Yeah. Like, if any criticism I'm gonna give Gunn, it's like, yo, bro, turn some of the old TV series back up there, because like I said, I'd love to see Constantine get its reboot, get its hands back, and know what happens. But that's all I have to say. All I have to say is I'm excited about what's potentially going to happen, and I'll speculate more later when we get more news as to what it is, meaning cast, directors, storyline, and everything else. So I think I'll turn that over to Nadya, because I
wanted to go section by section, but you just jumped. So I guess with Swamp Thing, supposedly James Mangold, Wolverine director, is in talks with the studios to helm the Swamp Thing movie. I like him. I'm not upset. I could kind of see that, but I would like to see. Sorry, James Mangold. I said right. I would like to see James Wan or Guillermo del Toro. Yeah. I think they would be a little better for it, because the whole horror aspect, and like Alan Moore's run definitely like kind of reshaped comics and brought this whole like horror genre. And with Swamp Thing, like it's even re-released now for the DC Black Label imprint. Yeah. So I could also see that tying into like a whole dark horror universe and like Elseworlds. But I'm excited for Swamp Thing.
Did you ever watch the TV show or no?
No, I need to actually.
And that was an original DC Universe series.
Because I think that's when I canceled. That was on the DC app first.
Yeah.
So I canceled the DC app, so I missed out on Doom Patrol and I missed out on Swamp Thing.
Yeah, but
Doom Patrol, they're still on HBO.
Doom Patrol is on there. I'm not sure Swamp Thing, because
Swamp Thing is not, which is
they said weirdest.
So I never got to watch it, sadly.
Because it was very graphic, like it was bloody, it was brutal, it was a horror series. But then during the pandemic, when they needed content to put on TV shows during the pandemic, the CW bought the rights to put it on their channel, and they censored a lot of the violence.
Of course they did.
So it wasn't like it wasn't. But if you saw it on DC Universe,
because nobody was crying and having love soap opera problems.
Yeah.
And then The Authority from Mark Millar and Frank Quitely, it's from Wildstorm. And I'm pretty excited to see this because, like, as Sean mentioned before, like the whole thing with representation, this is a story that's definitely gonna get some people angry.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be pretty dope. It's like more realistic superheroes, and it's like violent, sarcastic, and gritty. So I can kind of see like James Gunn doing like a good job with this, because it's like controversial. And the irony is, it's kind of like a take. Apollo and Midnighter are kind of like a take on Superman and Batman. So it's gonna be funny to see those characters in like a queer relationship. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see. And then, like I said, it's dark and gritty. So I think James Gunn's going to kill that. What else was there? The Brave and the Bold we were talking about. So interesting take. I think this is a chance to cast a Middle Eastern actor for Damian Wayne. Talia al Ghul is Middle Eastern, so I would like to see them
that's a good take.
Take this opportunity to cast somebody that's maybe part Asian, part Arabic, Eastern Asian, something.
Remember, there was a big thing for them to cast the kid from the Umbrella Academy. Well, he's not a kid; he's a
he's actually one of my fan castings. I'm gonna do like a fan casting thing. He's one of my fan casting ideas, unless they can find someone else. I think he'll be too old by the time they get all that out there. I think he's almost 30 now. Who?
Damn it, I forgot his
The kid from Umbrella Academy?
Yeah, I think he's closer to, because I think he's like 23 or something like that.
I thought he was like 15.
Is he 15? Like, thought he was older than that.
Well, I need to look him up.
Yeah, look him up. I think he's older.
I have this whole theory in mind, like where like they need to make like they need to make Damian a little bit older so it's believable that he's kicking ass, but
and that's another thing, like you said,
Umbrella Academy
if we're going to like bringing in Damian Wayne, it opens the door for so many characters.
Yeah, he's only 19. I think he's
okay,
fine.
so then he's good.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Like I said, so now we have to cast Talia al Ghul. we have to cast a Ra's al Ghul.
Yep.
You know, like we have to cast members of the Bat family. You know, like
yes, please call him Ra's al Ghul, by the way, not no Ra's al Ghul.
Well, I mean, Sean still calls Darkseid.
Yeah.
James Gunn.
Actually, I was calling him Darkseid, but people can say no, it's Darkseid.
James Gunn called Paradise Island. He called it the mascara. And I was like, that's almost like calling it the mascara. Like, he has to be careful with
the mascara.
Like he has to watch that one. I was just like, if you're gonna do it, like pronounce it right.
And with Supergirl, like I was saying, I'm happy that they're finally gonna show like how different their upbringings are and how it's gonna give us two very distinct heroes, because Clark grew up in a loving, happy family, and Kara is gonna be aggressive and angry and not this campy Supergirl. I'm sorry, Jerrell, I apologize. I never watched that show because I felt like it gave into all those annoying tropes. Like, I'm a female, I work for a fashion company, I get coffee. Like, nah. When I saw that trailer, I was like, I'm never watching that shit. Like, no offense to her, she seemed like a great Kara, and
she was.
Yeah, a great actress, but the writing for me was too campy. And my other complaint with the Supergirl show is they made Superman a jobber, and I've said this before, I don't like that. He's fucking Superman. You can't make him weak to make her look strong. I didn't like that at all. It's like, I'm not gonna save the day because my cousin is cooler. Like, she's stronger than me. Let her
she's stronger than me. I was just like, really?
I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. So I'm happy now that we're gonna see a badass. I want like an Atomic Blonde kind of car. I want her to like kick some ass and believe it. So that's my take on Supergirl.
We hope she kicks ass, because if he just makes her mopey all the time.
No, I'll put it this way: if we get the Supergirl from Batman and Superman Apocalypse, we're good.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You mean before or after Darkseid brainwashed her?
Even before
Supergirl that went 1-on-1 with that motherfucker and whipped his ass.
No misogynistic girl shit.
Yeah, that's where we were headed with Young Justice. Because remember at the end of Young Justice, when they said that they found Kara Zor-El in the Phantom Zone, she wasn't brainwashed. She just looked pissed. She looked like she was gonna kick somebody's ass.
Yeah, you get a Batman that's skeptical.
But because she was bitter because she was trapped in the Phantom Zone for so long, and they just now pulled her out. So I mean, again, I see, and I'm glad you said that, Nadya. If she's like a badass, you know what? Fuck this hope shit. The bad guys just need to die, and the Superman got to be like, whoa, hold up. Like, I'm fine with that. If she's like a loose cannon and she's just like kicking ass and going off, I just don't want to see her like emo sitting in the corner talking about how like life is a mystery and a mole and like I don't.
So basically, the DC movies that we had before.
Yeah, like I'd rather her be like angry and aggressive versus like depressed and like mopey. But the truth is there are going to be a lot of it's going to be an adjustment though for a lot of people, because there are a lot of people that are used to the
Melissa.
Yeah, to the Melissa Benoist one, so they're going to have to accept the fact that it's not like there's no truth and hope in this one. So but that's fine. As long as she's not like complaining, as long as Clark doesn't say go to your room, you're grounded. Yeah. Like I don't you're not my dad. Like I don't want to get that shit.
What was your next one, Nadya?
Booster Gold. I'm actually excited for this one. I think it's gonna be hilarious. For this, he's like goofy and charming. A lot of people are saying Chris Pratt, but my casting choice is Channing Tatum. I think he would knock this out of the park.
Yeah,
I agree.
He is good looking, but he can be like a goofball. And like seeing him in Bullet Train in 21 Jump Street, I was like, I totally see him pulling this off. So he's my dream casting. And then Chris Pine also, but he was already Steve Trevor. And then Zac Efron, I think, is another one that could kill this role, but I want Channing Tatum.
I see Zach as one of the Lanterns.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that.
I see Zach as one of the Lanterns. I see
that.
I will hope they would get Denzel's son for Jon Stewart.
Yes, that's my casting.
Yeah, like for Jon Stewart, John Washington for Jon Stewart, or I know he's gonna do Mr. Terrific for sure. So maybe Mr. Terrific or something, because I know he's, like I said, he's gonna bring, because he's teased the characters, like when he was posted on Twitter before, once he announced he was the co-CEO. He teased Mr. Terrific. He teased a lot of the lesser known people who don't really get that much burn, but they were in Justice League Unlimited. So he teased a lot of those characters. So don't expect, don't be surprised if he announces something, or a Red Tornado, or the Atom or something like that. So he's really gonna go. I'm not saying he's gonna go to the bottom of the barrel, but he's gonna bring those
Adam
people.
Was in Syndercut.
Yeah, he's gonna bring some of those characters out for sure. But
See,
John Washington as Green Lantern will be perfect.
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably too old now, but the actor that played like Stifler in America Pie, I thought he would have been a good Booster Gold.
Back in the days, probably.
Sean,
yeah, back in the day, he's probably like old now.
Yeah, I haven't.
It's not even that he's old. Like, I agree with Channing Tatum only because you need somebody
charming as well.
Charming, those rugged good looks, but also he can like just look stupid and goofy.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be, and I don't think Sean
William Scott.
Yeah,
William Scott. I don't think Sean William Scott can pull that off now, because I mean
he was like douchey. He wasn't charming.
and the fact that I think he signed on, they're doing, even though that was supposed to be the last one, they're doing one more American Pie.
No way.
Yeah, so they're, like, I think he's probably going to be gearing up for that. So
I still agree that I think it's too early for a Booster Gold project, but if we get Skeets, I'll be fine with it.
And then also though, with Booster Gold, he works a lot with Blue Beetle, but the Blue Beetle kid is very young, so I'm curious. Also, another continuity thing, I guess, how that would be.
Yeah, that needs to be, especially if he's going to keep the Blue Beetle.
Yeah, unless they're not keeping it, but
yeah.
He looked like he didn't know what it was about, though, because he was just like, yeah, we're doing Blue Beetle. It's a story about this really cool kid. And then it cut to him saying something else. He's probably like, who the fuck is Blue Beetle?
He's like, wait, we're keeping that?
James
I mean,
Gunn,
I'm happy for that kid because I loved Cobra Kai.
Yeah, James Gunn knows exactly. I mean, like,
he knows Blue Beetle.
It was just a bad edit. Like when
that's what it was. Like we're not gonna take James Gunn like some directors, they don't read the James Gunn actually.
Yeah, James Gunn knows his shit.
A lot of comic books, And what was your thought about the mascara?
Oh yeah, so for that, I feel like there's not enough for me to go off yet. What we do know, it's going to be a political drama. It's going to be set years before Diana's birth, and it's going to explore the political disputes. So I guess that's why they mentioned Game of Thrones. So like House of Dragon. So it's going to be like the Amazons like fighting over power, and then I guess they're going to reveal how it becomes an all-woman society. Like you guys mentioned earlier, I guess I'm curious without Diana, kind of how they're going to do this. Is this going to be like based on like Hippolyta and like the elders or something? Like I don't know. Really.
Probably.
And if we're going back that far, you got to have the gods because they talk about,
I'm pretty sure that'll be in there.
Which I was shocked that he's not actually starting this whole thing off with the new gods and old gods to just kind of show, dark side, Orion, start that off and then transition into
new god. Seems like it's right up his alley.
Yes, I was wondering. Like, I'm surprised that he didn't start it off. I mean, it's gods and monsters. You didn't announce the new gods with gods and monsters. That's what it was like.
I think we get some Howling Commandos.
Yeah, I think his thought process behind this was to get everybody talking and get ideas on Twitter as to what everybody wants to see. Because I do know they said lately his Twitter has been flooded with fan feedback about what he said, and I think he achieved exactly what he wanted. He wanted everybody to talk about it. He wanted everybody to know this is direction, and he probably wants to get ideas as to what he wants to do. I don't have, like I said before, I don't have too much of a problem with what he's
doing. As long as we're not getting that Michael B. Jordan Superman thing, I'm fine.
Not as
let
Clark,
that be an
though.
Elseworld.
Yeah, as an Elseworlds, I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
don't put that in the continuity, please. I don't I really don't.
Oh, and then back to the Lanterns. It's going to be a TV series. I kind of like that concept. I think it's going to make it more exciting. Like, I don't know if it's gonna be like a little more serious, but being that they said True Detective, I guess it is. So it's gonna be like they're investigating like dark crimes in space and come to Earth, but yeah, they said Hal and Jon Stewart, so I'm wondering, I guess they have to be like in their 30s because at this point they probably have to already like have some kind of experience. So Hal Jordan was like, it's probably like already a pilot. Jon Stewart's already like out of the military, and maybe they're, I don't know, I guess.
I mean, I would assume Jon Stewart would be the rookie.
Yeah, so I guess they're like coming to Earth to investigate. And then I didn't think of who I want for Hal Jordan, but for Jon Stewart, I did say John Washington. And I know he was Hawkman, but I like Aldous Hodge.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we know James Gunn's not keeping any of that cast. So.
Yeah, so I was like, maybe. But John Washington was another one on my list that I would love to see.
What's the one project out of everything he mentioned we're most looking forward to and least looking forward to? Because for me, I'm most looking forward to the Amanda Waller. I'm probably least looking forward to the Authority. Not because I think it's bad, but I don't know anything about it to carry it. So it's one of those things where when it comes out, I'll watch it. But I'm actually looking forward to the Waller thing because I like Viola Davis.
If this is wrapping it up, then I'm most looking forward to Batman and Brave and the Bold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably, I don't think there's anything I'm least looking forward to, but if I had to pick something that
you would watch last if all of them came out at the same time, which one would you watch last?
Probably would be that Commandos shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I could be completely wrong. That could be fire. And I'm just like, it's the least I'm looking
forward to. For me, what I'm looking forward to most, obviously, I'm a horror person, so Swamp Thing. And like Nadya said, if they get Del Toro or James Wan, I sign me up day one. I'm hoping some of this stuff is rated R. Especially Swamp Thing. The least favorite, I think we all agree, this Creature Commando is so left field. I don't even know how this is tying into the DCU. That's probably like the most random bottom of the barrel scraping from the 1940s, 60s, whatever. Forgot what era comic book they came from. And just kind of it's for me, it's Swamp Thing, believe it or not. I will say if I had to do a runner up, I'm curious about Superman Legacy to see how he's really going to instill that hopeful Superman again, because he is going to All-Star Superman. If you read All-Star Superman, it literally has that Messiah God metaphor where Superman literally is going around kind of saying like, yo, I'm about to die. Let me give back as much as possible, because I've been poisoned for all this years of exposure from the sun. Let me go back and give back as much as possible. And it's just him being hopeful and being truly that symbol. So I guess that's what he's really basing this thing on, obviously. So I'm curious about that one. Nadya?
We're all in agreement. Commandos. I am not excited for that. It's not on my radar. I mean, maybe I'll check it. Maybe I'll have it on the background one day as I'm working and maybe listen. Like,
that's almost worse.
Like maybe a background show while I'm cooking or something. And then if it sounds interesting, maybe pay attention. I don't know. But that's not on my radar. Everything else I'm excited for. I'm actually pretty excited for the Lanterns. Because I think, unlike you guys, I actually think the True Detective aspect sounds intriguing to me. So probably that. Probably, obviously, Batman, anything with Batman, and the Batman too as well, even though that's not part of Gunn. I'm most hyped for that.
All right. Okay. So does anyone have any final words before we I think we touched, let me see, make sure we miss anything. I mean, we all know that The Flash, Shazam, Aquaman, and Blue Beetle are coming out later this year. So everyone, you can expect reviews for those when it comes out. And we know that the two Elseworlds stories are the Batman Part 2, which is, I think, the official working title. And of course, we know Joker with Joaquin and Lady Gaga, and it is going to be a musical from what I understand. So that's going to be interesting.
I feel like the
musical Joker.
The Elseworld thing is just like, these are the projects we wouldn't let him cancel. So we had to come up with a name for it.
I definitely don't think he wanted to cancel anything with Batman. Maybe that Joaquin Phoenix thing should cancel.
Why? Because it's a musical?
I didn't think we needed a Joker too, but
no, we really didn't.
Definitely don't think we need a musical.
Hey, I love theater, so I'm curious to see how it's going to be. I mean, if they have Gaga in there,
it's going to be like in their head, probably. Like
because that's what basically the whole concept is that someone that suffers from that same condition, that whatever this Joker's been diagnosed with. So it's really more of a look on mental health, which makes me curious to see. Someone works with people who suffer with mental health. I'm curious to see how they're going to approach this. But musicals, like DC, really going for it when it comes to like I mean, Marvel's experiments with genre, but this is like, okay.
At least bring out the Music Meister if we're doing a musical. Shit.
Yeah, I mean, DC's done it before with the Flash episodes with the CW. So, but this is a whole different ball game. Joker and Harley musical. All right, it can work. Maybe it does good enough to start doing it on Broadway. Who knows? But anyone have any final words before we head out of this?
To see what old Gunn got in the chamber next.
Yep, we'll see what games they're gonna announce. That's what I'm curious. Because I do have one more comment. Because if this is supposed to be, he literally did say that everything has to connect from TVs, animation, games, and film. Not a lot of people play games. So if they say like they do a Static Shock game, right? And that ties into the whole thing, and he shows up in a Justice League or something, they're like, so what's his backstory? Oh, you gotta play that game. I don't play games. Oh, well, then you just missed out. It's like,
I don't think it's gonna be anything like that's like detrimental. It'll probably be kind of like DLC type content because it's not for like non-gamers. That's not gonna make any sense.
Yeah.
Even movie wise, like the average moviegoer, like regular people that say maybe don't even read comics, they're not gonna watch every single thing either.
Exactly. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but
everybody doesn't have a Max subscription for all these TV shows.
That's true too.
Well, the only thing I will say that might get it over with the game is you have YouTube. So for the people who don't play video games, you could probably go recap shit on YouTube and see it. That's the only other logical thing I can see happening.
Which I'll be streaming.
Same here. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Comment below. Let us know what your thoughts on the DCU, which is now officially titled DCU. No more DCEU.
I know it's gonna be a habit.
It's gonna take some getting used to hear DCU instead of DCEU. Comment below. Let us know. Of course, as always, you can follow Nadya at Gotham Geek Girl. Jerrell, Red Eyes Entertainment. You can check out his YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And visit GothamGeekGirl.com. And you can also check out her articles at Latin Times. That is, Nadya? At Latin Times. And of course, Sean at Chronicles and Beer Goods. And of course, us, here at OtakusandGeeks.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, obviously you are. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. UWO every Saturday. And we are out. We'll see you guys later days. Peace.
Thank you for joining us for Otakus and Geeks The Hour. Support the podcast by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. For more on Justin, you can check out imaginativevisions.com. For more on Nadya, you can check out gothamgeekgirl.com. For more on Sean, check out his podcast, It's Chronicles, on Anchor FM. For more on Jerrell, check out his YouTube channel, Red Eyes Entertainment. Later days.